make a friend, help make their troubles end. Let's make life a little better, a little better.
How can you go to university if you can't read? How can you pass your exams if you can't read? But I think most of all, it's for the soul.
I think I feel so passionately about bringing books to the lives of young children, and especially children who may not otherwise be exposed to them.
A book is like a little golden door that takes me into places I've never been before. It leads me to a fairyland and countries strange and far. It builds my habit of learning. Reading is my yearning.
Parkhurst Primary School was established in 1952. It's a state school, what we term an ex-Model C school. It obviously served the needs of the Parkhurst community in the previous years, but since about 1992, it's taken on learners of all colors, races, etc.
I've had a long association with the school simply because it's in my neighborhood. And about 5 years ago, Dan Mayani, who's a good friend of mine, came to me and he said, Parkhurst Primary needs help. And I said, Parkhurst Primary can't need help. It's in the middle of an affluent area. Why would they need help with their library? And he said, please go along and have a look.
We are not a school that's wealthy, and therefore you find that over the years, facilities like the computer center in the library have fallen away. Since my inception as principal 6 years ago, I've tried to rebuild these centers into centers of excellence that we can use at school, but with limited funding, our efforts were hampered.
There were books, I went round them, and there weren't many books anyway. They were very, very old. Some dated back to about 1910. But children today don't respond to books that are dated 1910. And you look through them and you can see that there are no illustrations. There are none of the modern techniques that we use and that make books so appealing to young people, which we have to do because a lot of the pupils at Parkhurst Primary have never seen a book before in their lives. And so for them, you've got to entice them in all sorts of different ways. And I went away and I realized that I needed to do something. So I started collecting books for the school.
It is important to read because it teaches us lots of useful things that we need to know in life.
It gives us information about our country and everything around us.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Jenny.
This particular school was brought to our attention by Jenny Cruz Williams on her show on 702.
So, Sanjeev, nice to speak to you.
Same here, Jenny. Thank you for having me on air.
Now, I see that you've written a letter to the Dis-Chem Foundation
Yes, I have.
asking for funding for a librarian for 2011.
Yes, that's correct, 100%.
Now, how much money do you need?
We're looking at approximately 144,000 Rand for the year.
Okay. All right. Well, joining us on the line is Lynette Saltzman, and who is the founder of the Dis-Chem Foundation. The $64,000 question is there anything that you can do this year?
Okay, well, good afternoon, Jenny. Yes, so we are going to pay for the 144,000 Rand for the teacher to have a proper qualified educator to work in the library.
Lynette, Mrs. Killian, the librarian.
It is not just good enough sometimes to have the books, because children who have not been exposed to them don't really know what to do with them. And that's where the importance of having a trained librarian comes in, who can actually point them in the correct direction, show them books that they may be interested in, and inculcate that feeling and that love for the written word.
What did you have to research?
We had to research about how to classify invertebrates.
The children enjoy this library so much. I wish you could see them in action. When it's their library period, they run to the library. And I've got my hands full trying to contain all the excitement.
I think my new library is cool.
Our new library is really nice. It's got lots of new books and we've got a great librarian.
The noticeable difference that we've seen is amongst mostly the children, where you find that now it's brought about a love for reading once again. They love going to the library, spending time with Mrs. Killian, accessing the brand new books to read, and love the stories that they see in there.
And for me, that random act of kindness may have changed the lives of 20 children, 30 children, 50 children, or even more. I think it's the most wonderful gift.
Reading is the power of life and for us to be people in life.